Oh, gee, baby.
I love that.
Baby. Woo. Can I just say something really quick? Julie and I are good friends.
Yes.
We fight on air, and we disagree about things, but Julie and I are good friends, and neither of us are ever going to Russia, ever. And
yes, and if we do go, we'll go together.
What tweet did I miss?
People on Twitter get very anxious about Julie and I. They're like,
the same thing. People were telling me that.
I love Julie dearly.
You know what I love? Harris goes, shows me this very nice tweet that somebody sent her about me. I was like, why don't they send them to me? I get all the bad stuff.
No, I'm watching her Twitter feed, and people are like, I don't agree with you. I'm both.
I have one request.
Can I just say one thing also?
Yeah.
I don't want to layer this on. There's going to be smoke, but she is perhaps one of the closest people that I know in my life who's associated with Fox News because of all the care and love that you give to our family.
You are the best.
We're both on the Upper West Side together. We see each other, and you're always concerned for what's happening in my family. God bless you.
Your birthday to
you
be
guys.
appreciated by us.
Julie is the
But I do want to say, though, because I watch your Twitter feed, and we all know this. You know this. We all. Sometimes you'll say something, and I know when I was talking about Colin Kaepernick, I had the whole world after me. I didn't care because maybe he was kneeling to pray.
Oh, yes.
Is what I said. People were very angry about that. But anyway, when I look at your Twitter feed, I know where you're coming from because people can be anonymously cruel. But for some reason, I get the nice messages.
It's unbelievable.
To you I'm just going to forward them to you so that you can feel that love.
I just have one request for my Twitter feed. Send me all the hate mail that you want. Just please spell check. The grammar is ridiculous.
Wow.
And it just allows me to retweet you and make fun of you in front of, thousands of people, and so I'll take
it's kind of fun when they get things
wrong. Here's one on the live chat.
Yeah.
Julie handles the trolls like no other. The best.
Thank you.
It's true.
Look, we call the show Outnumbered, and I know a lot of people think that it's the dude in the middle, the hashtag lucky guy.
Me.
But sometimes you're outnumbered. We'll talk about cultural stuff, and somebody else can be outnumbered.
That's
it is. That's why we call the show
Not just about
that.
sex.
Yeah. Right.
Well, wait a minute.
Gender.
You know what I mean.
Gender.
So, all right. We have such a juicy mix on the couch today.
Yeah.
My first question, I kind of want to go, will you guys indulge me?
Sure.
I want to do this on behalf of our almost 11,000 people who are on our live chat right now. Are we going to hit 20,000 before January 20th?
Good question.
On the Dow.
Trump got the credit for the post-election rally, and he deserves it, but he also has to take some of the blame for the stalling that we have now in the market, and in fact, it's gone down quite a bit because of when he talks as a president. It's one thing to talk in a campaign trail about certain companies, but when you talk as a president-elect and very soon a president about certain companies, it scares the bejesus out of these people. And I mean, the market is a very sensitive thing. It's moved by passions and emotions. People buy or sell stock based on how they feel. Very often, it's not just these computer programs. And when he starts talking about the pharmaceutical companies like he was yesterday, the pharmaceutical index dropped tremendously. So it depends on what he says as president. I think he's going to really affect. We could go booming if he gets the tax cuts in, the regulatory cuts in. I think we're going to be just fine.
Let me ask you a question. Paul Ryan said something that I think a lot of Republicans feel, which then I'll quote. He said, "Elites in Washington should not be picking winners and losers. That's a recipe for a closed economy, for cronyism." How do you square that, David, because you cover the economy, with what Donald Trump has been doing lately with some of these tweets?
I think he's got to be careful. I think he has to realize that as president, when he talks about specific individuals or specific companies, there are consequences. There are consequences in the stock market. There are consequences in how the companies are organized. What's important is that he's put together a cabinet. We were talking about Pompeo. He's going to be the new CIA. Great guy, incredible background. He's very anti-Russian. You look at his anti-Russian tweets over the past couple of years. I mean, he makes you and your dad look like soft core about Russia. And yet he was chosen by Trump to head the CIA. That shows a lot about Trump's confidence and his ability to listen to other sides, even people he disagrees with, to head up certain departments. I would think, Julie, from your perspective as a Democrat, that would give you hope for the future, because he does, yes, he's hardcore in a campaign trail and everything, but look at who he's appointed. People who very often disagree with him about things.
It would, except that Sean Spicer sat on this couch 2 days ago, was it, Meghan, I think, and said they're going to do what the president says. They're going to take their direction from the president, and that is a little.
He did say that.
And that's a little concerning to me for that reason.
But yesterday we saw Rex Tillerson ask a question. I can't even remember what the question was. It was a specific thing about, you've said something about Russia that the president has said something very different about, and he said, yeah. So, I mean, he's going to have people who have hundreds of millions of dollars who don't have to kowtow to anybody in his cabinet saying, Mr. President, I think you're wrong. How many times has that happened?
One thing I would say, though, what you're alluding to is Rex Tillerson. And what we're talking about, I think, in terms of it's going to adhere to a Trump administration was Jeff Sessions. Those are very different jobs. So when you tell me that the Attorney General from Sean Spicer, and you're right, it was 2 days ago, is going to toe the line of the administration, some would argue we've already seen that for 8 years, and people decided that they didn't want it anymore in Eric Holder. Your thoughts?
I think what people didn't like about Eric Holder was that Eric Holder thought he could make laws or bend laws and not enforce the law, which was really his job. And so I don't think that's. I think that's what people objected to with Holder. But I wanted to ask you, on the business front, Amazon announced 100,000 new jobs. That's huge. That's got to make Obama and the Democrats mad that didn't happen under their watch.
It did, because Obama's the president today. So it did happen under their watch.
When people hire people, it's because of the future, what they think is going to happen in the future.
But it was a good comeback.
It was a good but yes, I think a lot of companies...
If we hit 20,000 before January 20th, that's also going to be on Obama's watch.
A lot of companies are beginning to project, because that's what they do. When they hire new people, they're assuming that they can afford to hire them because in the future they're going to have enough revenue to pay for them. There's a lot of hope that the cost of doing business, the regulatory costs and the tax costs, are going to go down and make it possible for them to expand. So one thing that's bothered me about what companies have been doing recently, they've been borrowing all this money at zero interest. They don't have to pay for borrowed money, and using that cash to buy back their stock, which artificially sends the stock price up, instead of using their cash to invest in new factories and which hire people and so forth. So jobs haven't been created by what they've been doing. The stocks have gone up in value, but it's an artificial high, you know? It's not the real thing.
Facebook Live right now. We are cooking along. Nice. I just want to, let's see. Sandra Estrada Gutierrez says Eric Holder and Loretta Lynch were just puppets for Obama. You know, it sort of just goes to the idea that, and I hear what you're saying, what's most important is that they don't make their own laws. It doesn't matter if they adhere to the current administration or not. You're just most concerned that they do their job in a fair manner. I had mentioned that I wanted to ask at least a couple of you things that were kind of specific to who you are. As you look as a family member right now of your dad in the hearings, and we've got to hear a little bit of Senator McCain, what are some of the things that you'll, and I mean, I'm hoping you'll tell us, that you might tell your dad, hey, Dad, make sure you ask this?
Oh, I didn't tell him to ask anything. I mean, my father,
I know he listens to you.
I think he's completely brilliant, and he knows exactly the right questions to ask. I'm more concerned about the fact that he has a cold right now, and I wanted to make sure that he gets his vitamins and stuff.
May I actually, nobody ever expects me to say this, may I say in public what I say to you in private about your father recently all the time? As a Democrat, but especially as somebody who's so...
You're a Russian immigrant.
I'm a Russian immigrant who's so absolutely disgusted by what I'm seeing rhetorically. I don't know what's true or not true about these intelligence, but rhetorically coming out of our president-elect's mouth with respect to Vladimir Putin. Thank God that there are Republicans like John McCain who are able to represent.
Or like Mike Pompeo.
And I don't know much about Mike, but Lindsey Graham. But we'll talk. Marco Rubio yesterday I thought was great.
It's a fascinating. We were talking. It's fascinating because it's an ideological split within the party about how you see America's role in the world and foreign policy-wise, and it just happens that you and I land in the same same area. I don't know if it's because you're a Russian immigrant or the way you do foreign policy, but it's. I'm pretty
foreign policy. I think I'm.
Well, so Julie, then when you heard Barack Obama in that debate with Mitt Romney say,
I thought he was wrong.
And
I said it then.
Good.
Yep. I thought he was wrong.
Sandy Baker from Spokane, Washington. Thank you for being on Facebook Live. We love it. I'm kind of calling people out here. Just thanking them for watching. And Mimi, thank you very much for your sweet words about our show and the people on it. You know, a lot of talk today about CNN, Didai says, is looking very desperate to be legitimate. This situation with the media, we got to watch that.
Yeah.
Because that is a story that it has some legs, because it really permeates everything, because the topics may change. but the players may not change. Good to have you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Oh,